At this location, ego takes over and makes your video for you. Ego demands that you like and subscribe.
Hello, fellow Snap fans. I'm D, also known as DKRO on Marvel Snap, and today we are going to be talking about locations, and specifically feature and hot locations, the problems with them, and some possible solutions. Now, to get started, if you should probably know this. I know I sometimes make assumptions about the knowledge base of the people that I am speaking to, but I really assume that this is very base level knowledge. The game Marvel Snap takes place over the course of 3 different locations over 6 or 7 turns, and the locations have quite an impact on how a game plays out. And making the best of good locations and bad locations, and learning when to retreat when you just cannot win based on the locations that pop up is a really important skill. It's very skill testing. Now, if you didn't know this, as I didn't until I started researching for this video, there are locations that are more rare than others. There's actually, I think, 4 rarities: ultra rare, rare, uncommon, and common. And this isn't info that's disseminated to you as a player. It took me looking into the idea of hot locations before I learned this, so I'm just going to share what I learned. And that's that, mercifully, these first 2 up on screen, we're probably going to have to shrink this. These first 2, Ego and Worldship, if you hadn't noticed, are ultra rare. They're ultra rare. And that's a good thing, right? Like, we can all agree that these being in the least amount of games possible is probably for the best, because it would be quite frustrating. As frustrating as some locations can be, it would be incredibly frustrating if these 2 just kept popping up at a normal rate and like Ego played your deck for you and the world ship blew up the other locations and changed the dynamic of the game completely. And so I want you to hold that information as I make my argument going forward. I want you to hold that information in your head, that the game designers already understand that that it's bad actually to have certain locations be very common, right? Okay. So with that knowledge sort of at the front of our brains, right? Uh we're going to look at feature locations. Now this you might not know, or you might not be like, this might not be at the front of your mind, but when a new location is introduced, it becomes a feature location. It's, because it's featured, right? It's they want you to experience the new location as it is introduced to the game, right? So it ends up being promoted in such a way that it's in 40% of all your games. Now, this is cool because it provides some amount of consistency, though I'd argue that isn't really what this game is about. But that can be cool, right? I know, especially when I was earlier in my Marvel Snap career, I by playing into the locations, I got a bunch of like, percentage points on my win rate that I wouldn't have had otherwise because of like missing cards out of decks and stuff. But here's the thing. It also exacerbates the problem I talked about in a recent video. The I want to say, is Marvel Snap right for you video, where you might not have all the cards to a deck, and that's a good thing. With the feature locations, if you don't have the right cards, it just becomes an abysmal time to play for like 2 days, because like now you don't have the right cards to play into a location that you're going to keep seeing, and that can be a problem. So your only option is like to play counterpick cards, but then like if you don't have a good deck for the counterpick cards, you're just throwing them in a deck where they don't really belong, and it all compounds on itself. So let's look at some of the recent feature locations, right? And you're going to notice a trend. All right, so first we got Vormir, right? Let me see if I can. There we go. Put myself in front of these. All right. So we got Vormir was recent. First card you play here is destroyed. Huh, that's weird. We're gonna keep that in your brain. Destroyed. So, like, you know, that's cool. I'd actually argue Vormir was one of the better ones. One card is destroyed. You can cheat cards into that location without playing them there to get around that. Or you can sacrifice one thing and get into Vormir. Cool. Like there's something there. That's not so game changing, right? Oh, moving the background. We had Altar of Death. Whenever you play a card here, destroy it and get 2 energy next turn. Huh, that's weird. It destroys something again. Well, okay. Rickety Bridge. At the end of each turn, if there's more than one card here, destroy them. All right, listen. I play the Deathwave deck. You're probably like, D, what are you bitching about? These all help the deck that you love, you super villain fuck. Listen, the problem is that everyone techs against death cards. Like, yes, the deck that I play is really good into all these locations in a lot of ways, but it means that everyone's playing tech cards, and it kind of puts the thumb on the scale, right? I'd so prefer, in my world, to not have to suddenly deal with a bunch of people who are like, well, I'm going to play Armor and Colossus, and I'm going to make sure no one can destroy anything. Eat shit, D. And it's, like, very frustrating because I don't have the Destroyer Spectrum deck, which is really good into Rickety Bridge because you play Colossus and then you play Spectrum, and then you could have Destroyer as a backup plan, right? I didn't have Deadpool during the Altar of Death deck, the Altar of Death event. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't have Deadpool, you're just missing out on a bunch of free percentage points because Deadpool is ultra good into Altar of Death. It's maybe unbeatable. And the point is that all of these showing up in a regular amount of games, like Rickety Bridge just showing up in one of your games, can create a really interesting dynamic. But having it show up in 40% of all your games can be really, really frustrating, especially for like 2 whole days because of what I've outlined, right? And I think that a lot of people feel that way. And like I said, it really, really exacerbates that feeling of like not having the right cards. And I think that is something that they should really try to avoid going for. The designers, there's a lot of goodwill in this game as far as like design choices, I think. I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of saw this game as like a cash grab, like to cash in on the Marvel franchise. I know my friends have like basically said that to me verbatim, like, D, what you're playing, this is like, you're playing this game that seems like a cheap mobile cash in. I'm like, yeah, no, it's like, it's really good though. I promise. And the thing is, moments like this, I know I wasn't really around for when Lamentis was the hot location or the feature location. Lamentis is each player draws 3 cards and then destroy both decks. I wasn't really around for that, but a lot of people were like, well, I don't have death, so I can't even play today. And I like understand that frustration. I think I was in pool 2 when Lamentis was the hot location, so it didn't affect me because no one had death in pool 2. So yeah, and then all right. So that's the problem with especially the recent feature locations. I will say some of the hot locations have been really good, right? Baxter Building as a hot location is ideal, right? It is a location. Baxter Building is whoever's winning here gets +3 power at the other 2 locations. That's neat, right? Like, that slightly changes the math on who might win a location. It doesn't win or lose you the game by building around it. And what's more is you kind of can't build around it. I mean, you can, right? Like Omega Red and Iron Man into Baxter Building is like that's cool tech, right? But it's not like just gonna win you the game in a way that Deadpool into Altar of Death for 6 turns is going to like win you the game without anything else going on, right? And so I just hope, I guess what I'm getting at is that going forward, they have more locations, and especially hot locations, that are like Baxter Building, and less that are like Luke's Bar and Vormir. Or no, Vormir's fine. Luke's Bar, Altar of Death, Rickety Bridge, that kind of just nonsense of like build your deck around this or simply perish for 2 days. And you're just gonna have to deal with it. So I don't know. This has been kind of a shorter video. I'm really into this negative surfer deck that I've been playing. I'm gonna post more of that tomorrow. They just announced that the Infinite gets a new reward, so I'm gonna redouble my efforts to try to hit Infinite. I had kind of slacked off once I hit 90 because I was like, 500 gold, that's the last good reward. I don't care about the title at all. But a card back is kind of cool, so I think I'm gonna go for it again. I slid a bunch of ranks trying out neat decks, but I think I'm gonna try to hit Infinite and then like slide a bunch of ranks because you can't drop below Infinite when you hit it, if you didn't know. Anyway, I'm D, also known as DKRO. If you're still here, you probably like content like this. I would advise you to like and subscribe so that Ego doesn't come back with that horrible voice mod and try to make you do it without your own free will. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.